Okay, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about high school subjects. So let's get right into it here. So basically, throughout middle school and high school for me, and I think this applies for most American kids that are going to public schools from K to 12, and maybe even college. There are sort of these big four subjects that we had to take every year. Now, some years there'd be less of it. Some years there would be multiple parts of it. For instance, I think in order to graduate from high school, you would have to take like maybe 3 or 4 years of English or math, and then take like 2 years of social science or history or something along the lines of that. And my honest thoughts on those subjects are that I feel that, in middle school and in high school, yes, it's good to, kind of enforce them because, after high school, for most people, they go to college and in college, you have to sort of choose your own factions and major in one of these sort of fields. And if you don't major in those fields, it's fine, but they want to give you a sort of sense of well-roundedness. Like they want you to go to college with the expectation that hey, I've taken these classes before, and if they force me to take these classes again, I can do much better now because I've already taken them so many times in the past. Now, for me, with English, I feel that, right after high school, maybe like 10th or 11th grade, I feel like you don't have to take high school English for 4 years, especially if you're fluent in the language, because I just feel that, it just becomes sort of a waste of time, honestly, because, if you really know how to become fluent, if you know how to read, if you know how to write, if you know how to speak, and if you know how to listen or translate English, why the fuck are you wasting, 4 years of your time taking the same shit over and over again? I mean, even for me in high school, when I took like these English classes, it was like, you know, they just introduced some new shit, but honestly, it's like most of us will forget it anyway, so what's the whole point of enforcing English and making it a big deal? I mean, for fuck's sakes, this country was, the main language in this country is English. So I feel that once we're fluent enough, you don't really have to learn that much English anymore. And even for college too, like for me, because I scored low on placement tests, I had to work my ass all the way up again, starting from the lowest division of English, and then work my way up to the college level English 101 and 103. As for math, being Asian, it's not very good because I'm not really good at math. I always had a hard time with math when I was little too. So math for me is another thing too. I feel like because I'm not going to go into any mathematical related majors because obviously math's my weakness. Why do we have to learn algebra one? Why do we have to learn like algebra two, geometry, calc, stats, trig? Why do we have to learn these advanced math classes or just math classes in general? If I'm not gonna major in math, at most the only math I'll do in my adult life was as I get older and as you get more independent is probably paying taxes. But paying taxes, it's like you just do basic arithmetic. You just follow a certain formula, put a certain value ratio here and there, and you can easily do it with a calculator, or you can pay someone to do their taxes for you, or you can seek help online. But it isn't that hard, I don't think. You know. So yeah, that's my deal with math. Is that it's like why do you have to learn all these complicated math um, problems and solutions if in reality if you're not going to major in math, and if you're going to use it mainly for taxes, why do you have to overcomplicate it so much? I think that's why I didn't like math too, is because they made things so complicated, you know. As for social science, or as we call history, social science is a more sort of like proper or a more fancier term of calling it. To me, I'm sort of biased with social science. I also like history a lot because, for the most part, it was sort of a detailed, like a back in my day kind of story, and it was backed up by facts and everything. And it wasn't too biased to be honest. I guess the only bias would be maybe if you're from California, for instance, and if you read the Civil War, we'll kind of paint the Southerners as like these poor people and blah blah. And then if you go to the South, they'll kind of like do the same thing where in their textbooks they'll say like, oh, the Northerners are like very rich, they're greedy, they're selfish, they're arrogant, and etc. But honestly, other than that, I just felt that I learned a lot of interesting stories. Most I forget obviously because it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've taken a proper high school class, but in college, I've taken a lot of history classes, so I guess I kind of lied on that part. But anyways, it's been like almost a year since I've taken a history class. I think the last class I took was maybe last fall, or I'm sorry, last spring. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I like history because they tell you shit straight up. They don't BS or fabricate it. They tell like it is. If someone loses an award, they'll explicitly go into detail on how they lost and how this affected the people and blah blah. They don't give you some sort of Disney fairy tale BS to help make it seem like, oh, it wasn't a big deal, when in reality, if wars aren't big deals, then what are they occurred in the first place? And finally, the last bone that I have to pick with, I guess, would be social science. I'm sorry, no, not social science, science. This is like chemistry, biology, physics, anatomy, those kind of things. And again, this isn't up my history alley, but you know, I'm forced to take them too. And for me, I always thought that biology was a lot more easier because in chemistry, like they put like a good amount of math information. Obviously, the math is very very simple. It's just using calculations and shit. But you know, chemistry again, they kind of make things, they kind of overcomplicate things, sort of like psychology, and that's why I think people like me were not really into chemistry in the first place. Biology was kind of fun because we got to dissect dead animals. I mean, I guess if that's your thing, then yeah, whatever. But I mean, biology was pretty interesting because they talked a lot about like the DNA, the genetics. I think the Punnett Square, they talked about stuff that was more relatable. Chemistry, I feel like is just like it's like the smart, the smart science STEM kids, the people that really want to make a change in the world. Then they should take chem and physics and those upper echelon of science classes. But if you just don't like science in general, I think you should just take biology and that should be done with it. Or you should just never take biology. I think high schools now they should go towards the route of trade schools where people, they if they have a certain major in mind, going up to high school, then they should just enforce more of those classes, as opposed to just wasting 4 years of taking the same fucking BS and not having any fun out of it. To be honest, I think that's another reason why too in high school, like everything was so boring without friends, was because you're forced into this situation where you're taking classes against your will essentially because you know I guess you had to like meet a certain requirement. And honestly, I think that's BS, to be honest, because how many people will remember these general information? Not many, I'll be honest with you, myself included. Because in high school and in middle school, they just cram so much shit into your brain. It's sort of like I was talking to my friend on Discord and he was saying like, oh, in high school, they want to like cram as much information as possible. But once you come out of high school and go into college, it's like how many or how much of the information will you really retain? So I guess it's like they view our brains to be like sponges. Like they assume that we can handle so much information in a short amount of time, and they expect us to, find jobs like this. Like, are you serious? Like, that's not how human brains are supposed to work. You're not supposed to overload the data senses, or else, we will forget some of the things, some important things, some minor things. I don't know. It just depends on how much stress you can endure, honestly, as a human being. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of my little rant. I think it's important to, be well rounded, but when you put so much emphasis on it, I just feel that defeats the purpose and it dismotivates people like me from ever taking school seriously. Because honestly, I'll be honest with you, like our country's education system is sort of a joke. We're always placed on like the lower echelons. We never score that high in the national, the test crap. It's always the Asian countries and the Europeans that always do wonderfully. And if you look at those countries, maybe you'll see that, maybe they have found the solution that we need to improve on. And only by then will people be more, motivated to go to school. Because most people nowadays, I assure you, they're probably thinking the same way as I am. They're like, why do I have to take all these fucking classes, if I'm not gonna ever care about them in the future? So with that being said, that wraps up for my more recent video. I know the views have been a bit stagnant as of lately. I know I am past my prime now, but My plan is to keep pumping out videos until I reach 100, and after 100, I think I'll just call it a career. And I guess I'll kind of talk more about that as we reach the 95s and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, for now, just kind of expect the usual shit. Um, so yeah, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.